sister's undisciplined kids got us banned from a restaurant. Then she asked me to babysit them for Christmas. When you're the last surviving members of a family, there's enormous pressure to maintain relationships even when they become toxic and destructive. For years, I endured increasingly embarrassing and stressful visits with my sister Caroline and her family, telling myself that preserving our connection was worth the constant humiliation. Caroline and her husband Marcus have 3 children, a 14-year-old son and 2 daughters aged 11 and 12. What should be a normal, loving family dynamic has devolved into complete chaos because Caroline and Marcus refuse to implement any form of discipline or boundaries with their children. Their parenting philosophy centers around the belief that children will naturally learn appropriate behavior without guidance or consequences. They genuinely think kids will spontaneously develop respect, social skills, and impulse control if left to their own devices. This hands-off approach has created 3 of the most obnoxious, disrespectful, and destructive children I've ever encountered. Without any accountability or expectations, they've learned that they can behave however they want without facing consequences from anyone. Any attempt I made to redirect their behavior was immediately shut down by Caroline and Marcus. Don't tell them how to behave, they'd say, or dismiss everything with kids will be kids. The children quickly learned that they could ignore any adult who tried to establish boundaries because their parents would always intervene on their behalf. The breaking point came during our Thanksgiving dinner at a restaurant, when their children's behavior crossed from merely embarrassing into genuinely dangerous territory. While running around the dining area completely unsupervised, one of them crashed directly into a waitress carrying hot dishes, causing her to burn herself severely. Instead of being mortified and immediately addressing their children's behavior, Caroline and Marcus seemed annoyed that the incident disrupted their meal. They showed no concern for the injured waitress or acknowledgement that their failure to supervise their children had caused real harm to another person. We were asked to leave the restaurant immediately, and I was so embarrassed and horrified that I left my sister's contact information with the management, hoping they would pursue compensation for the waitress's medical expenses. This incident crystallized everything wrong with our family dynamic. I was tired of being associated with people who refused to follow basic social etiquette, tired of being banned from places because of their children's behavior, and exhausted by constantly being made to feel uptight for expecting normal human courtesy. When Caroline announced their intention to visit me for Christmas, I realized I couldn't continue enabling this dysfunction. I scheduled a difficult but necessary conversation over video call to establish firm boundaries. I explained that after the Thanksgiving incident, I could no longer spend time with their family until significant changes were made to their parenting approach. Their lazy discipline was ruining their children and creating unsafe situations for everyone around them. Caroline's response revealed exactly how little accountability she was willing to accept. She was angry that I had given the restaurant her information, claiming I had sold her out, rather than acknowledging that her children had injured someone. When I outlined my boundaries, they needed to implement real discipline, or I wouldn't be part of their lives, and that showing up at my house uninvited would result in locked doors and potentially police involvement. Caroline dismissed my concerns as being uptight. She accused me of lacking giving spirit and claimed I was ruining her children's holiday by refusing to enable their destructive behavior. The conversation reached peak absurdity when Caroline suggested I take her children for Christmas alone, so she and Marcus could enjoy a peaceful holiday without the stress of parenting. The irony was staggering. She insisted her children weren't problematic while simultaneously admitting they were stressful enough that she wanted a break from them during the holidays. I made the decision to go completely no contact, blocking her on social media and phone while leaving email open only for genuine emergencies. Caroline hung up without another word, apparently unable to process that actions have consequences even within family relationships. Instead of spending Christmas walking on eggshells around destructive children and defensive parents, I booked a cruise with a friend. The relief of knowing I wouldn't have to manage someone else's family chaos was immediate and overwhelming. My neighbors agreed to watch my pets and keep an eye on my property, understanding that Caroline might attempt to show up uninvited despite being explicitly told not to. I even filled out police forms documenting my concerns about potential harassment. The hardest part was accepting that those children are going to grow into adults without ever learning accountability, respect, consequences. Caroline's 14-year-old son will be 18 in 4 years, completely unprepared for a world that won't tolerate the behavior his parents have enabled. But I finally realized that I can't save people who refuse to acknowledge they need saving, and I won't sacrifice my peace and reputation trying to manage other people's chaos. Sometimes protecting yourself means accepting that some relationships are too toxic to maintain, even when they're the only family you have left.